Lock in. This is gonna be a Frieren video. Why is Misfix on my screen? It shouldn't be on my screen. I need why the strongest character doesn't fight. Internet no buy. It keeps doing that. Maybe I'm just enjoying it here, but I need it to reflect on the screen to you see what I'm talking about, what I'm yapping about.
There's a weird element to Frieren where it's a direct reversal of your traditional shonen character structure, breaking a key rule. The most powerful character doesn't bother fighting, and that's the point. While his students are off getting impaled by demons and turning into a Death Star, she's just watching, vibing. Frieren is an anime which isn't about the young up-and-comer learning from the masters, growing and eventually surpassing them. No, instead it's about...
I think Frieren breaks every type of rule that is there that has been set up by any anime. Because I don't expect anything usual and normal from Frieren. Dreamers in the building! What up, Dreamer? You're late. We just watched an entire mappa video that was like 25 minutes. Crowdy?
The mentor who has already hit the height that others are striving to reach. Yet, the oldest and most powerful person in the party, the one who sits out fights. They're the one with the furthest still to go on their journey of growth. They're trying to self-actualize as part of what makes Frieren different to most shonens. Alright, so the dragon fight this week had the majors actually taking part. We'll start with pretty much a chew toy. But it's this fight in particular that I'm talking about here. This other one, this illustrates in particular why Frieren's approach to journeying is normally as beautifully quiet as it is. Of our main characters, we get to see this moment where Stark comes into his own and Fern finally showcases what her pun...
Yeah, that was totally my bad. For some reason, every time you go MIA is the time I don't stream. Even myself, I've not streamed for 2 whole days. That was my bad. So I need to work out this schedule in a way that makes sense.
Name means by becoming the Zoltrax like
Zoltrak. Let me yap with you for a minute kidogo. Hii maneno ya stima kupotea randomly. Sijui tutaisolvaje because if you disappear for 2 days, hadi me for some reason na disappear for 2 days. Yo. I need this one to stand better like dirt. Boom. Let me just continue with the
characters. We get to see this moment where Stark comes into his own and Fern finally showcases what her pun name means by becoming the Zoltrax sniper she always should have been. But what about the actual title character? Does she just disappear? Well, there's more to it than she just can't be bothered. Frieren breaks a rule in shonen here, and the why says a lot about its core themes of growth. You know, our protagonist, the one whose name is the show's title. She's just waiting on the sidelines, chilling, because Frieren is about the mentor and not the student. It's a story that follows the wise old master who already accomplished their big feat. And that means fights are different, progress is different, growth is different. It's one little reversal of a key shonen trope that makes this show feel entirely different. Frieren could flip such a common rule by making sure that more...
I feel like an insider is kind of behind me. Check an insider. I need you to catch up. Tap the live button. There's a live button. There's a live like that glows. So itakupeleka baka mwisho. Then tutakuwa on point. So because una make statement, then I realize in a train of thought yangu. Then nakumbuka ni swali niliuliza way back when. Moving on.
Powerful. This elf still has a ton to learn. In fact, the dual narrative of Frieren kind of allows us to see her developing massively, getting closer to that emotional climax. Maybe there was a better choice of words with him on the screen than that. But yeah, emotional closure. As a mentor, she's leading the development of these two.
But then I like the double story, and yeah, it's old time, new time, new. Like they put you in a place, you realize what's going on. Then you are given the context with a flashback of Frieren experiencing it for the first time. So we see the story of Himmel the hero and Frieren, and we see the story of Fern and Frieren at the same time, concurrently. Even though introduce the hero of the West, to introduce a hero of the West, keep meet Frieren. Like old new, old new, old new, beyond Journey's end.
Journey is something different, though. It's something more abstract and harder to quantify than training up a mage or warrior to be great adventurers. With Frieren mainly staying out of fights, we got a better look at how an emotionally maladapted immortal has actually managed to be a pretty good mentor to this girl, and a big part of that is down to the lessons in human interaction she got hundreds of years earlier. The emotional arc that she's on, that other growth journey, that's why the most important character doesn't fight. Because learning how to make connections and these two growing up, that's more important. So let's look at what actually happens with this fight, because a big part of this is that the stakes are tricky with an overpowered main character. How do you keep the show interesting when most enemies we encounter can't reasonably be a threat? You can write around it, but it's a little silly if she keeps encountering bigger threats than the Demon King and his army, like, every week. So one way is to stick her in the sky and let her
exactly. If I need Frieren to fight seriously even once. I mean, how does she fight even once if she has already taken down the Demon King? The Demon King is supposed to be the strongest demon among among everyone else. For some reason, the Demon King atarudi randomly. And the fact that she's not fighting anybody seriously is, I think, a part of the narrative, because her character arc is supposed to be more emotional, like the guy is explaining. It's supposed to be more emotional than physical. So you need to see Frieren fight seriously even once. I mean, sure, eventually you're gonna see her fight seriously at sometimes, because the threat level will always increase for some reason, until we see the flashback of her fighting her versus the Demon King. Exactly. I think that is the only time you're gonna see her fighting seriously, because even the Qual, it was called the guy that was frozen for 7 years, Qual or something. That demon that she had to freeze. He took him seriously, then one shot him, and that's supposed to be a star general. She told Nani to off herself.
Stakes work naturally. She was busy that day, or it's a B-team episode, but it's not just for stakes. It also better serves to illustrate the divide between Frieren's philosophy of magic and that of the first-class mages. So the actual Fern fight in the last arc showcases why breaking the normal mentor-student role and shonen format has worked so well for Frieren. We can compare this fight and Frieren as teacher to this one we saw quite a bit earlier. It shows off how both of them have changed and been on a journey. We'll start with the Fern Fog Demon Guy fight. From the very beginning there, Frieren is kind of checked out. She gets a look at the demons that are approaching these two and decides it's a good opportunity for Fern to grow. And this whole scene actually runs perfectly if Frieren was just the supporting character in the background role and the show was called Fern. You've learned enough, go put it into practice, and then we follow our heroes and the old mentor phase away into the background at some point as the young and commerce growth starts to
I mean, I think my phone has just gone to sleep mode. Let me wake it up. Wake up. The Himmel flashbacks are going to be crazy, because if Himmel the hero is supposedly the strongest character in the verse, apart from the Demon King, he's supposed to be the strongest warrior in the verse. Himmel the hero, and we've seen I think I made a video or something about talking about how the crazy strong the people of Frieren are. Okay, compare what's the dwarf's name? What am I saying? I even lost my train of thought. I'm gonna remember it, then I'm gonna yap. I'm gonna remember my train of thought, then I'm gonna yap about it.
to eclipse their lessons. That would be the traditional way of doing it. But contrary to how heavy things were in the village with stories about bread and everything else, Frieren is quite unserious here. As soon as demons appear, they divide the mages up into 2 groups. Rather than help Fern quickly overwhelm an isolated demon, though, Frieren
would never
basically
grow.
goes all Yoda, just stand back, giving advice and watching, doing nothing. Oh, plus we cleared that little flying thing the anime changes in season 1, that happens here. But Frieren doesn't actually get actively involved in the fight. She's pretty much on commentary duty. Then she tells Fern to handle it herself because it's a job for first-class mages. Not something she's ever really shown to care about before. But that's not the point. The point is letting your apprentice mage handle it by herself and letting the audience watch some horror farming and crazy intense action.
Nimekumbuka I was yapping about. Sasa, Himmel the hero is supposedly the strongest human being of all them. Sasa, and I was saying that the characters in Frieren are supposedly the durability and the strength that these people display is out of this world. It's crazy. Stark the coward with barely any a few years training as a 17-year-old destroyed a dragon in one hit. Now tell me how much stronger somebody has to be for you to be taken seriously. Himmel the hero. That man I've never seen that man sweat a demon before.
Without having to worry about the level 100 mage over there just quickly finishing things. And while Frieren does have to point out the damage coming in to help Fern out at first, it goes fine. Fern claiming she can't handle the demon is wrong. Just like Stark often uses confidence building, that's what Frieren is doing here. They disagree on how easily Fern can win, and Frieren is right in the end. The lesson that's been taught by disappearing into the sky like this is that if she never throws Fern into the deep end, she might never learn how to swim. Sometimes you need the strongest guy to stay out of the party so the other members can actually get some XP. The fight does help Fern with something else big though, and it brings us back around to those core themes. Fern is on the back foot in this fight, but we're seeing her adopt much more varied tactics than normal. She can't rely on her old faithful spam attack right now, and that's why she has to do the fight alone. That's why the mentor has to wait in the sky. Fern can't always have some ancient legendary mage with a...
Because what happens when Frieren is sealed? Let's just say she's going to be sealed. Or is distracted by a grimoire, or is eaten by those just things that keeps eating her. What happens then? Fern has to lock in, and the only way to lock in is to learn how
to bail her out. She needs to grow too. Fern's embracing of her name and using that attack style that fits.
Agenda in the verse is only as good, and he's only good. Ooh. Himmel the hero is not really as strong as supposedly supposed to be. It's just an agenda by the people of the world because they have never seen anybody else. Maybe Frieren did all the work, but Nani the warrior. Stark's teacher, the dwarf. What's the name of the dwarf? Can fall off a cliff without taking any damage. Which tells me that in basic durability, he's supposed to be stronger than most people. But without Frieren, basically, like getting sealed, basically. Wait, what am I saying? Getting sealed gives you so much aura. Exactly, gives you so much aura. The dwarf has so much durability to the point that you would assume that he was slightly or better stronger, but Frieren carries all the fights. That is my new agenda. Himmel the hero is just propaganda. He's not actually the strongest. I mean, it would make more sense for Frieren to be sealed. How do you kill a 1,000 years plus old mage? Flamma had to die of old age. Frieren will also die of old age. Getting sealed gives you so much aura is facts.
With her as a character. That's what this fight achieves. But even for Frieren, it does show off some real growth. To really get a handle for that growth, we have to go back and compare it to the last time we saw something similar. And Fern has grown so much.
Excalibur didn't accept him. Exactly, agenda. Himmel the hero is apparently not the hero. Himmel the hero is a fraud. Because he's a fraud, he's strong and most of his fight get carried by Frieren. But Tata, How much stronger does a person have to be for Excalibur have to accept him? There has to be a hero somewhere. No? Afu pata ni Stark. Huh?
She's
Stark the
gone
hero.
from be against an enemy who's been frozen in time while his skill sets become basic, to overwhelming an enemy who was a terrible matchup without Frieren's help. And I'm reminded of both because they both start with that scene of her trying to
It's true. It's true. She's a 1,000 years plus old mage that has completed magic. She's now magic for fun. That's why she has an attack that can produce a black hole. Show me any better fit than that. We aren't had to be given the Naruto treatment because of the aura. I need more aura to be added on this aura-full character. So that she can tell Aura to kill herself again.
throw shields up quickly. It's similar. It's deliberately invoking the earliest time we saw her fight a demon before she triumphantly takes this one out. The whole sequence on both sides of this fight is beautiful, but it lets us see a creative attack style using magic, and it better illustrates the differences between mages. All this that she's doing here, it's completely night and day from what we normally get in Frieren, with its hexagon shield, Zoltrak, end of kind of combat that these two do. But we need to see this kind of stuff outside of the party.
That would be obvious. I think someone else will join the party and get Excalibur. I mean, sure, because at the end of the day, lazima Frieren he build up to a type of grand enemy, or the second coming of the Demon King, or the return of the Demon King, kama venye Albinos Voldigod alirudi, the reincarnation of the Demon King. So there's another year-old mage. Exactly, there's another year-old mage. Apart from the fact that the elves don't really breed like that, these things are overpowered. Overpowered. There's always another. They're the one that is more focused on the power and the politics on the side. How do you defeat that? Because even Frieren, I don't think Frieren can hang. She's older than Frieren. I feel like.
From time to time, to put Frieren into perspective, that fighting style we first saw laid out against Quall. Sure, Fern doesn't do it single-handedly against the Fog Demon either, but Frieren doesn't have to step in. And what ends up resolving things is thematically resonant all the same. The fight only really turns because of how much fun magic can be outside of the core combat, which is pretty much what Frieren's all about. Doing anything for a stupid spell is building off of another key element of how Frieren has instructed these two. The one point it all keeps drawing back to, no man's an island. It's about building connection and all that fun that comes from that. These two wouldn't pass this fight single-handedly. It's from a collaborative effort that we get that moonshot. While the fight might be decided by a factor outside of Frieren's control, it's reinforcing something that's been instrumental to how she's been teaching Fern. That connections matter more. That magic isn't just a tool for violence. That's how this fight has ended. Anyway, so thematically, it's interesting, even with Frieren off in the clouds for the duration, to get that point across. Sometimes the most powerful character doesn't need to fight. So let's compare it to that earlier fight, where we really get to see Frieren in teacher mode, but doing a little fighting. That'll really help us see what's changed. These situations are a little rarer, since Frieren's teaching style for Fern is often aloof. It's often more like she gives them the space to learn and develop and some nudge.
And there's an arc getting hyped up where they become bodyguards to the other elf. For real? Is that spoilers? Are you spoiling it for me? Don't spoil for me. But me, I am keeping it purely anime. If I have one rule, if I really enjoy it, I don't read the manga. I just let it come to me. But if the manga does not get an adaptation, then I read the manga. If it's gonna be that good, I need it to be animated immediately.
Without being overbearing about it. No real lessons, no pointing anything out. Just leave her with a problem and hope she's developed the skills to deal with it. Now against Quall, it turned out to not even be a fight. It was an opportunity to give Fern and the viewer, and me and you, a history lesson. So on first watch, it probably doesn't click what's happening, because Quall is the most threatening looking demon in Frieren until like very recently. And they couldn't defeat him back in the day, so they just had to seal him. So surely he must be a beast, right? Then it's flashy and all, but really he's just kind of bonk and he's gone. is not crazy different to the Fern Fog demon guy fight, really. Someone with a very particular set of
Got
skills overwhelms a
eviscerated,
demon once they're in the
gone,
right position. But the person whose
sniped.
strength and
But then,
growth we need to see,
can we take a minute to see how underrated that takedown was?
Fern Fog
Van
demon guy
snipe.
fight, really.
I don't
Someone
know how
with a
many
very
meters.
particular set of
It
skills.
was almost 1 kilometer away. How do you even see that? How do you even lay your sights so accurately and so clearly that you snipe it? Nimeona mimi fulani yenye hiyo nini yake imewekewa scope. That is crazy. That's crazy accuracy from Fern.
Overwhelms a demon once they're in the right position. But the person whose strength and growth we need to see, that's changed from Frieren to Fern. The Quarrel fight is pretty much about this book on magic history that Fern avoided reading twice. The whole fight, this whole demon, this guy, is pretty much just boiled down to you didn't do the assigned reading, Fern. This is why the reading matters. This is why the reading is set. We could put the most recent fight into the same lesson structure as you can already kill this demon, Fern. Compare these fights and it shows such a growth in confidence that the strongest character might not need to fight. She takes a little assessment, decides it's fine and goes for a break. Nice and tidy. Now I'm sure if things went sideways, Frieren would just jump in, but the northern lands are dangerous and she can't be jumping in every fight. That's an important lesson for Fern, and one that'll help the party as they move forward. I mean, alright, it means this season's big demon arc didn't get a Frieren action scene. I'd say the extras we got with these two kind of evened that out, though. If anything, it's going to mean that the next
Zoltrak is now a basic spell. I can't imagine Friend's inventory. You've seen the in the double clone in the clone fight. The clone pulled out a full on black hole, and that is even scratching the level of the bag. I'm pretty sure Frieren has a very deep bag, very deep.
time Frieren is actually the focus of a fight in the shonen manga called Frieren, it'd be even more hype. But just because she's not at the center of the action, it doesn't mean she's not growing. Frieren's on a different journey to self-actualization, one where the pace is chiller, the stakes are lower, and the adventure more meandering. Because in one way, Frieren is still very much a beginner. So the mentor is one of those classic dramatic figures. It goes all the way back to the Odyssey. But they're not normally the protagonist. That's because in Frieren, her main journey, her development, isn't finished. She's not actually beyond journey's end emotionally. This has been a factor.
Also, I need a flashback of Flamma, because if Frieren respects Flamma this much, how broken or how crazy does Flamma get? How does her abilities get? Do her abilities get? He also taught Frieren everything she knows, and bring fun to the world with a look. Exactly, a full-on, like, I don't know even how to explain. It's like that ability from one of the Gorosei, the Saint Saturn's ability.
And Frieren since the very beginning, but all this stuff, this nonsense I've been talking about, I think it comes back to that. It means at times the stakes are heightened by having the strongest character just off to the side. Frieren walks around that by adding an emotional stake to the other parts of the story. She's on a growth journey, just one that's a lot less traditional for a shonen manga series. And in that journey, the figure she's following is Himmel. So Frieren, Aizen, Haita, they all ended up making these big life decisions based on what he would do. We're seeing Frieren try to figure things out emotionally. That's her growth, trying to pass many experiences and self-actualize, become a full person who is comfortable with themselves, their emotions, and everything that's happened. Even for those of us with a normal lifespan, that's not always easy. Elves in Frieren have thousands of years of experiences and memories to try and take into their sense of self. It's difficult, and it seems like she's on a journey that might see her exceed a lot of other elves in that respect. Her battles are these situations, not these. That's the main arc. And in that sense, helping these two come of age, that's a big part of her journey too. Sometimes the strongest character has to stay out of the fights so that they can be free to walk to heaven and try and talk to their ex again. Hey, thanks for watching. I've been Comfy Lilland, so if you want to watch similar stuff. Alright, cheers.
That was an amazing video. Any thoughts? You don't have any thoughts? You don't have any thoughts on Frieren? On Frieren's journey, why she doesn't smoke. Being immortal will suck. I do not. That's usually what wakichagua nini, wakichagua life ama abilities ama powers wanachagonga immortality. That doesn't even make sense to me. So, extended lifespan and healing, maybe I live like, give or take, 500 years. No, is it that bad? 500 years, but then I need to die. I need to call it an end. I need me down and gone. I need to experience everything in this lifetime, and I think give or take 300 to 500 years is enough. You can go from president to, unless you have an immortal life. I mean, after a while she gets boring because she's the only person you know. Inakuwa kama, what's this movie called? Inakuwa kama Hancock. Akikujamia anakujamia for like 100 years.
There guys, Travis does streaming on Twitch and on YouTube pia, na anafanyanga reactions za anime na za random videos, and he makes like really cool stuff. You should go check it out. Yeah.